So here I am just shading one value for the darks, and it's a very light value. I'm not shading any value for the light, so I'm just shading one value for the darks, and I am going to blend that value for the darks. So the values, the places where I'm going to shade the value, where I'm going to first shade is first the iris, which I have started to shade, then is the tear duct, the upper lid, and the place where the eyebrows are. I'm not going to shade every single eyebrow. And at the top crease there's this dark line, that's where I'm going to shade as well. I'm just going to make sure that that shading is very neat and I get a very graphic finish in the step. Now I'm going to render the iris. So first step is that the iris has a lot of lights as well, like the shiny lights. It's like a glossy circle. So first I'm going to make sure that I don't shade those lights. I'm going to shade the whole iris, but I'm going to shade it a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to again shade the highlights. I'm going to preserve the highlights, and now with my 7B pencil I'm going to shade it. First I'm going to just preserve the highlights, the shape. Now with my 7B pencil I'm going to shade the whole iris. I'm not going to add any details. Now this is the real-time footage where I'm going to be showing you the real time. So I'll be keeping these real-time footage in the middle just to show you how much time it takes. Now for the highlight, which is at the bottom right hand corner of the iris, I used my graphite powder and I shaded it with my 4B pencil, and then I continued with my 7B pencil everywhere else. And then I preserved some more highlights. And here, as you can see, it's another real-time footage. Here I'm just explaining it to myself that here I have to do this, here I have to do that, here I'm going to do it in this way. So now I'm going to add some more darker shades with my 4B pencil. And as you can see, I started off with the tear duct. After I shaded the tear duct, I shaded the white of the eye a little bit, because the white of the eye isn't completely white. It has some shade to it because the eyeball is round and it has some grey shades to it. Now this is again the real-time footage. So here this is fast forward as well, just a little bit, just to show you that it takes a lot of time. Now I'm just cleaning everything because while I shade I get some graphite powder a little bit, so I have to wipe it all off. If I use my hand, first of all, my hand will get dirty. I'm wearing a glove here, so my glove will get dirty, and the paper will also get dirty. It will give a muddy look. Now here I'm shading the white of the eye. Just observing the reference photo, nothing else. Observing the photo, doing the shading lightly first, and then making it as dark as it is in the reference photo. Sometimes I might go really very dark, like I went here. But then afterwards I will correct this. I really tried to make this light, but then I was scared that it will become too light. So I waited till I have a lot of details. Now at the right side, it was very dark, the white of the eye. So what I did was, first I corrected the iris, as you can see over here, the shape of the iris. Then I went with my graphite powder and I shaded it with one whole value. And then afterwards I lightened it up because it became too dark. And then again I shaded it. Now here I am just shading the eyelashes. I'm not shading every single line. Now at the top we get a crease, right? So that will be a dark shade. So I'm going to make it dark as well. And now I'm going to shade the curve which we get, like the crease is there, then the skin is wrapping around the eyeball, so there's like a curve in the skin. So that's why it has also got some values. Everything has some values, nothing is just one flat value. Even if you see the paper, it will have some values. And everything is 3D, nothing is 2D. Even the paper is like a cuboid, but the height is really very less. So now I'm going to shade the rest. The bottom part, I just added one base layer and I shaded it really very lightly with the blending stump. And then once I was happy with the shades, I went ahead with the graphite powder and I shaded it completely. Here I'm doing it completely smooth. I'm not adding any textures because if I add some textures, then if I need to do some changes in the shades, the texture I have to do it again. So I'll do the textures in the detailing and texture stage. Now here comes another real-time footage. So as you can see, this graphite powder, I'm using the graphite powder really very slowly. You have to do things really very slowly. This whole thing, this whole eye drawing took me around 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours. So you can't expect a drawing just to happen in minutes. Like let's say that you're following a tutorial which is of 13 minutes and you don't want to waste that 13 minutes. You just go to the end and just scribble and you're like, oh, this doesn't look nice. It's because you're scribbling it. If you follow the tutorial and then do it, then it will come nicely. And if you don't have a tutorial, which I don't have right now, you have to take your own time. Take more time. Take your own time. Take more than you should take. Like usually I should take one or 1.5 hours. Here I pushed myself to take more time. So that's why this drawing came more better. So here I'm just explaining myself. At the bottom left hand corner, I struggled a lot. Now here I'm adding the textures. So it's the textures and detailing stage. So here also I struggled a lot at the top part of the textures. And as you can see, this is the real-time footage of my textures. I'm really taking my own time observing the reference photo. Now again, fast forward. I'm just trying to explain myself what should I do. Like I'm a teacher, I'm explaining it to myself. I'm a teacher as well as a student. So I'm explaining it to myself in that way. That as if I'm a teacher, I'm a student as well. So now I'm adding the textures. What I'm doing basically is that I'm adding lines with the Jelly Roll pen and then I'm scribbling around it with my pencil. Before I did the opposite, here I'm doing this technique, but still I really struggled a lot with this. I was terrified and I was even annoyed at the same time. I was annoyed because I was not getting the look I want, which every time happens with me if I don't get the look. And I was even terrified that if it doesn't come nicely, then I have to tear the paper, I have to throw it in the dustbin, I have to do all over again, starting with that horizontal line in the outlines. If you haven't seen my outlining video, then don't forget to check it out. Now I'm adding the textures in the right side because I'm satisfied with the texture in the left side. I'm just correcting the iris a little bit. Just adding some extra shades which were there in the reference photo and I forgot to add. And here, as you can see, it has got lightened the left side of the eye. So I made it light. So now it's matching the reference photo. Now I'm adding some more textures. I'm explaining it to myself. I'm really very frequently I'm stepping back and looking at the reference photo and looking at my drawing and comparing. Now here I'm adding the eyelashes. This is a really very slow process. I'm adding some more darks. I'm going through my drawing one more time. I'm adding all the darks again. What I mean by again is that I'm making those darks even more darker so that I have more contrast between the lights and the darks and the drawing pops. So I'm adding some more details here and there. I'm adding some more darks. And yeah, I'm done. So I wrote my name and the date.